So, yeah. Okay, so today we were going to talk about walking in your purpose, right?
Yes. Some people are annoyed by it, but the basketball players who have decided to
Girl.
cancel, I was like, that's your power. Without Black people, you don't have sports or entertainment in general, and a lot of other things. But I'll say the ones that they can't seem to do without the sports. To have people say, if it doesn't bother you seeing Black bodies shot up, imprisoned, or in a body bag, then you don't need to watch this same Black body finesse on the court or on the tennis
Doing what I do
or
well.
football. Yeah, you don't need to see that.
You don't need it.
That to me is
Girl.
like so much power, and it also creates a unity where, despite the fact that they're millionaires and they're like titans among men, they still feel what's going on and are angry about it. We need
Yes.
that type of unity and that type of resource where they have it and they're willing to say, not only will we not play in their games and we'll cost them money doing it,
Yep.
but we'll also throw our weight behind this cause,
Yep.
behind bringing about justice for all of these people who've been shot and killed in the streets, for coming against the prison industrial complex, for people getting out and voting, for whatever it is.
Whatever. Yeah. Yeah, girl. I felt the same way. When I heard that, I was like, yes. So if these ball players are like, listen, unacceptable. Those are our brothers too.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I'm thankful for it because they're putting a lot. They're putting a lot more than our little paychecks
Mm-hmm.
on the line.
Towards it, yeah. And I think it also dispels the myth that a lot of white America has, that see, they got up and they made something of themselves, and look, they managed to pull themselves up. No, they had an extraordinary talent that a school somewhere who wants to capitalize off of that talent decided to grab hold of, and in a lot of cases exploit, and then they are excel in that, and they go, it's about money. It's they're still being bought and sold. And for them to stand up and say, we are all being bought and sold. Don't think that because we have fancy clothes and fancy cars and you know our names and you're wearing our jerseys and our shoes, that it means that we're not also bought and sold. And what we're saying is, today we're not on the block. We're not on the block, and we can choose that. And it's the audacity of it. Because a lot of people, I've heard a lot of people, oh man, I'm so mad because, the finals and how are they going to do that? Because they can.
Because they can.
Because they can.
Just like anybody else can say, I'm not coming to work today. I've had enough of your mess. I'm not doing it anymore. You guys keep playing. I told you before, this is not okay. I went to human resources and let them know that this was not acceptable. And so now
out of here.
I'm not working here anymore. You're not going to get any more of my time. Because I was reading this thing. No, it was actually Bishop T.D. Jakes that said it. Let me find it. Because he said there's 3 things that you can budget, right? 3 things you can budget: your power, your money, and sex. Right?
Wow.
So
Come on, our sex budget.
Come on, sex budget. Because how are you using it and with whom? How are you spending it and with whom?
Oh, yeah.
So, and under power, to me, your time is power. Your talent is part of your power. And when you choose to use it in a way that not only speaks up to your morals and your values, what you think is important, that's flex.
Oh yeah.
Not when you're kneeling on somebody's neck. It's when you're using your power, when you're using your time, your talent, your energy, and you're saying, this is what I will use it for, and you will not exploit it.
Oh yeah.
Will not exploit it.
Oh yeah. I was reading. Oh, I'm sorry. Were you finished?
Go ahead, girl. Go on, tell me what you read, girl.
Excuse me. No corona.
No.
So Io has me saying that
Speak
now. I'll be like, no corona. But because sometimes we just cough. But so I was reading this thing about finding your purpose, and because I've been doing a lot of self-help type things, just to kind of
Oh,
my own life and get
help
myself
yourself.
ready. Help myself. I need help. Who gonna help me if I don't help myself?
Hey.
And like one of the first things I read said, understand what life should feel like.
I like that.
Thing, I never even thought about it that way. I always thought like, okay, be goal oriented and like set some goals and work towards them. But if you don't know what life should feel like, then how do you even know what goals to set and how to go about it? It makes sense. So likewise, in this situation, knowing what life should feel like and understanding that this is not it, this ain't it. And, to recognize that and to say, okay, so what about it do I need to change? And what's within my power to change, And I think another thing that I also read was looking for ways in life to transmute hurt into empowerment for yourself and for others. So if you grew up poor, let's say, like in poverty and didn't have food to eat and didn't have all these things, maybe part of your purpose, because you know that life, is to take that and to create it, like it generates some kind of power and understanding and empathy in yourself, to then turn around and figure out how to help other people get out of that situation. So in the same way with these players making this choice, it's how can I transmute the hurt that I feel into something that is going to empower other people in my situation to do and be better, I think it takes the selfishness, I don't know, out of like, sometimes when we think about focusing on ourselves and figuring ourselves out, what we want to do and all this, there's a lot of I and me words in there. But when you tackle it in that way, like how can I use what my gifts and my talents are, my time, my body, my knowledge, my education, whatever it is that you have to offer to change circumstances that are not how life is supposed to be. And make them better.
Make
for
them
yourself
better.
And for others.
Yeah. That's I think that's it. I think that's the key. Like that's empowerment. I just was listening to somebody earlier today that was saying like, but they were quoting somebody else and they were saying like, think about it like this. What if you're hurt? The things you've gone through, they're to build your character, but they're also so that you can help someone else.
Yes.
You're not going through that just to go through it. You're going through that because you're being entrusted with that, because you can now speak healing, speak wisdom, speak, comfort to someone else, to someone else's, because you're one person, but like you exponentially can help people if you make that choice. And I think that's the choice in how we deal with, going back to what you were saying, like if you come from a childhood of abuse or alcoholism or whatever, you always see this story of like these twins that grew up in the same household and, of abuse and alcoholism. One becomes, goes on to become a healer, somebody who is out there helping people, and the other one goes on to become an alcoholic.
Yeah.
And if you ask one, they'll say like, why are you so successful? And they'll say, because I grew up in a house of abuse and alcoholism. And you ask the other, why are you an alcoholic? They'll say, because I grew up in a house of alcoholism. It just depends on, you choosing and saying, okay, I am not going to let this thing drag me around for the rest of my life. I am going to use it to empower myself and empower others. And I think that is the best.
Oh yeah.
I think that's the best that we can do. And I'm so proud of these ball players for like, I can't say enough about it, because they chose as a group of human beings to say, not anymore.
Oh yeah. That's the other piece too that I read. I read, several different things, but some of the things that I kind of gleaned were, one said to cultivate awe, gratitude, and altruism. What these basketball players have done has cultivated awe in my children. they're like, what? Like they just like stop the world like that? We can do that? We can do
Yes,
that?
girl.
Like the awe of seeing these people just make a choice and follow through with it, and see how many people around the world are talking about it and following suit. Because when you also like do things that cultivate awe, which then lead to gratitude, that you're like, wow, like I'm so thankful that I exist in this time and place to see this and like have the depth that I've been able to earn through my hardships and through my experience to be able to, you know, even grasp what's going on now and to be affected by it. I'm grateful. And then to be altruistic, like how do I then turn this into something that can help other people?
Yeah.
Like, how does it make me on fire so that other people can see this energy and catch a light in it? Like, for me, that is what I want my purpose to be.
Yeah.
To find things in life to be amazed by,
Yeah.
to find things that just stoke this sense of gratitude. Because when you find gratitude, more things to be grateful for just continue
to come. Yeah.
You know? And then
I agree.
What do I do with that? Well, if I'm in awe and I'm grateful, then I need to be out here trying to make sure that you and you feel this too, because we're human beings and we need to interact with each other on this level. It's no fun to like look around and see a beautiful world and nobody else can see it.
Everybody else is seeing in black and white. Yeah.
Right. You catch a fire and you spread that outward, you know, and for each person, the way that they do that is going to be the way that they do that. And that's what's interesting too about this, is that some people are like, oh, well, athletes should just be athletes. They're not activists, they're athletes. All we want is to see, you know, right. You know,
I don't like it.
Like these are whole people with they weren't always filthy rich.
Nope.
Unless their daddy was a ball player and they came into it that way. But most of these people grew up, they had a mom, you know, and they struggled and they grew up in an area that was probably depressed, and they had to
and basketball saved their lives. Like so many tell that story. Like if I wasn't out playing ball, I would have been in so much trouble
doing, you know, only God knows what else. And so to assume that this person's only purpose is to hoop or play football or sing or hold a mic or whatever, and not to express the very real feelings that they have attached to their very real Black body is ridiculous. So even looking for ways, like that's the beauty of the prism that is us. Like we can have our gifts and have our talents and have our experiences, and we can exponentially grow, and they can reverberate throughout portions of ourselves that we didn't even know. Like maybe some of these guys didn't even know that they had a social justice bent in them in any way. Maybe some of them might have been the snobby dude that, you know, the snobby rich guy that you can't stand, who's the cocky football player, basketball player who you can't even stand. But you never know, like, what activates what inside of you.
Exactly.
And when it happens, like when time brings that, when an experience brings that to you and you feel something, like that is a part of your purpose. If you feel it, it's for you to do something with it. You know?
Yeah. And that's the point too, is to light that fire. It's not just for the flame to burn in those of us who are feeling it over and over and over again. It's like you said, it's that moment when all of a sudden it catches on with somebody else and they're like, whoa, you know, this is okay. You know, that's the awakening. And it's also a beautiful thing for us, because it's not just about being awake. It's about seeing other people come awake too. Woke is not about drinking green juice and detoxing on a juice cleanse. Woke is something totally other level. And until you experience it for yourself or see other people come alive that way, you don't know what woke is.
Yeah, a lot of people out here using that word, and you're like, where?
You still carrying your pillow on your head.
You still, right? You got drool still on your mouth.
Like lines on the side of your face.
You know, and sometimes I even feel wary of people who you like I don't really like to say I'm woke. I
Yeah,
feel like I like to say
exactly.
like this is my experience. This is what I'm seeing. I don't know if I'm woke, but what I
Yeah,
know,
woke.
you know, but what I know is that I can see
Hmm.
what's going on, and I'm trying to live my life on purpose.
Yeah,
And if I'm
and I'm
trying to live,
still
girl,
willing to learn.
yes.
Still willing to learn. Like
Mm-hmm.
don't get to the point where you're like, oh, you can't tell me nothing. Oh, I should be able to.
Mm-hmm.
Be able to tell me something too. That's the point.
Yeah, that is
That's
the
the point.
danger of wokeness, I think, is that
Wokeisms.
sometimes, yeah, it's like I have arrived. I
Hmm.
now see everything. I am enlightened. There is a blue aura around me all the time.
Hmm.
Like I've just got it together. And it's like, nah, just walk through this world understanding that you don't know everything and have your feelers out. And when your feelers land on something that feels away or makes you question or like go with that, feel
Yeah.
it, understand it, delve into it, or you know understand what it is pointing out in yourself, that makes you recoil from it or whatever. But
Yeah.
everything, all the stimuli, all the senses that we have purpose. And if we're trying to live a purposeful life, living on purpose, then we take from all of that information and we order our steps accordingly. you
Yeah.
know I tell my sons all the time, decide. You don't have to decide whether you're going to be an astronaut or a pig farmer or a you know whatever. Like you don't have to know all of those things, but decide what kind of person you want to be. you
Exactly.
know and
Exactly.
everything that gets you there, ride on that,
Yep.
run to that, even if they're difficult. And
Yeah.
all the things that are not going to get you there and are going to carry you away, leave it alone. Because
Yeah.
you have to live on purpose, and that's going to change and shift throughout their entire life. So
Your
anyone
whole
who's
life.
yeah, so anyone who's saying that they just got it and they know,
Yeah. Be wary. I like what you were saying that you were telling your boys. It's where you and I are having like parallel conversations with our children right now. Because I told Farah yesterday, I said, you have to do the right thing sometimes, even if it doesn't make sense.
mm-hmm. Oh yeah,
And that's the importance of having like a really firm foundation. Those basic things like do not lie, do not steal, don't be jealous of what somebody else has.
mm-hmm.
Those, for me, those foundations that's a firm foundation to walk
Yeah,
on, especially as a child, because then that means you get an idea of how to flow. You get an
yeah,
idea of like how to make certain choices, and sometimes they're hard choices to make. Sometimes it's hard not to tell a lie because you might
oh
get
yeah,
somebody else in trouble, you might get yourself in trouble. And that's when you learn to keep your mouth shut if nobody's asking you questions,
mm-hmm.
or make some learn how to talk to your friends. It opens the door for some really, really hard conversations, but it it teaches you something, and then the
Yeah,
next time those things come along, they become so much easier. But you can't get wise counsel if you're not telling the truth. You can't get wise counsel if you're not willing to admit, like, I just want that because I want it because somebody else has it. You know what I'm saying? Like,
mm-hmm.
you can't get wise counsel if you're not willing to be open and honest about like what you have going on in your world. And as children, we want our children to ask questions, but they have to, and adults too. Like, adults get the worst advice from people
Mm-hmm.
because they haven't told the whole story.
Yeah.
Like,
Oh
yeah, they
yeah.
told you that because you didn't tell the whole story.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, those things, like, really, they really make a difference.
Oh yeah.
They really make a difference in how they can make those choices. And like you said, go after your dreams, go after what you want to do. And if it changes, it's okay,
Yep.
but don't let it change because it got harder.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah, like even when you sometimes you have to make those steps and start walking in the direction that you need to lead the charge despite the fear that you feel. And
Yeah.
I know that, like, when things are hard, or I'm looking at something and I can't see my way kind of through it or figure out like, okay, well, I'll do this and I'll do this and I'll do that. Or if I'm in something that's kind of outside of my aptitude, like for example, this camera is stressing me out. Like I'm not a person who likes to look at things that tell me how many millimeters and numbers and apertures and all these words. I just want to press a button and use it. However, I know that like the art side of it, what I can do once I learn this stuff will be great. I have the eye for it, but it means that I have to learn some new stuff. And I feel like the older I get sometimes, the harder it is for me to like go into learning new stuff with gusto all the time. It depends on what it is. Something like that might be a little bit more difficult for me because I'm afraid of it being hard and me not understanding and whatever. But like, and I use that because it's a more benign example.
Yeah.
But, you know, maybe a better example
it's
would
stepping
be
into a new territory.
And saying, I'm going to learn this new thing. I'm not going to worry about like a time frame or comparing myself to anyone else. Like, I'm going to take my time and learn it and use it as an extension of myself.
Yeah.
Let my creativity flow through.
And you're going to be good at it, girl.
You're
going to be good at it.
I believe
I think
okay.
you will, because I think you have an eye for aesthetics, and I like that class that I'm taking. I'm just now getting on the aperture part, and I'm like, okay, it's a lot easier than I thought it was. I just didn't know what those things meant, you know?
And that right there, maybe this is a good example, because sometimes it's just a matter of like, sometimes things look way harder than they actually are. And sometimes it's just a matter of like understanding the definitions of things sometimes.
Yeah.
Like understanding, okay, let's break it down. And I just need to understand what this means and this means and this means. And then it unlocks the door for so many other things. I'm finding that in every aspect of my life. Motherhood.
Yeah.
You know, being a good partner, delving into my writing, whatever, getting physically in shape, all of these things, like it can feel really daunting when you're looking at it on a whole, but when you really kind of break it down, like you said, it makes it so much easier to palette one piece at a time and like see how the structure, how it goes. Maybe that's also why, you know, it resonates that the first portion of I guess finding and walking in your purpose is to understand what life is, like understand,
girl,
what it's supposed to be, how it should feel, you know? Yeah.
I love that. Like, how should life feel? And really, really break it down. Because when you were saying that, like understanding how life feels, right? I went back to a time in my head, because that's how you go back. But I went back to a time when I was like so into like, I'm gonna make this money, and I'm gonna have these shoes, have these clothes, and get this car, and I'm bala, 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 popping bottles in the club. So like, yeah, okay.
Yeah.
And you know, I was on my way in that space, and it didn't make me any happier.
No.
I never thought past the getting the things.
Yeah.
You know, and I figured, you know, I'll get a man too. I wouldn't have known what to do with a man, you know, or myself for that matter, you know. So the thought of like, stop and think about what life should feel like.
Yes.
Stop and think about like what's really going to make you feel good, and how long is that going to make you feel good for?
Yes.
Because the new pair of shoes feels good for a moment, and like after that first time you wear them and realize that they leave blisters on your feet.
Okay.
So then after that, you know, then what? You know, you got to get another new pair of shoes. You got to get another new outfit. You got to get another whatever. And I even remember, girl, it was stressful, like clubbing all the time, because you got to have a new outfit almost every time. And if the last one was super cute and you got a bunch of compliments, you got to go harder the next time. And I spent most of my money trying to be cute. you know.
Oh,
And
yeah.
if I'd have known back then, you can wear the same black dress over and over again, and
Girl,
nobody will care.
nobody will care or notice. Oh
Except
man,
somebody that doesn't like you, and you don't
hater.
even have to worry about them anyway.
So I hate her that if you gave them that dress, they'd be
They
so
would
happy
rock it
and
on
rock it.
on the next night. I wouldn't even bother putting it in the cleaners.
Yep. Oh yeah, girl.
So those are life lessons. But yeah,
Yes.
like if I'd have known back then to just stop and be like, okay, how is this gonna really, where is this gonna come? How am I gonna end up with a house if I keep going to Mandy's,
Mm-hmm.
and purchasing clothes?
I remember I was working at a doctor's office, and I had a patient come in who was on all kind of medication for like insomnia, all kind of medicine for anxiety and depression. Like his hair was falling out, and he just looked miserable. When I saw him, I remember speaking to him, and when I saw that the man was 27 years old,
Oh man.
and at the time, what was I, like 26? Probably like 26, 25 or 26 years old. He was,
Wow.
I couldn't believe that he was virtually my
Your
age.
Mhm.
And so we spoke, and he was just like, yeah, stress has been, really taking over my life, because he works on Wall Street, and he has the job that his dad wanted him to have. He's making the money. He's living in the beautiful apartment in Midtown Manhattan, overlooking whatever.
Mhm.
Like he's living the life, that his father wanted for him, that his whole education groomed him to desire.
Mhm.
Stressed out. So I remember asking him, I was like, well, like, why don't you change your life? Like, it seems like it's not working for you. Like, you ever thought about doing something else? And he was just like, I mean, I wouldn't even know where to begin. Like, I've invested everything into this. Like, my wife expects it, my father, my mother, like all my friends. Like, this is my life. I can't just detach from it. And I asked him a simple question. I said, if in your mind, regardless of how outlandish it may sound to anybody else, it's just me and the walls listening. If you could just today drop it and go and do something else that would make you happy, what would it be? He said he would have like a bait and tackle shop.
Wow.
On like the Missouri, like, on the river, and just like live his life and like fly fish every day, live in nature. The people that he's dealing with enjoy nature and enjoy the great outdoors and enjoy what he enjoys.
Totally opposite of what he was doing.
Completely opposite. And I just told him, like, I remember telling him, I was like, man, start there. Like, just even if it's not you opening a shop right now, find a way to take a vacation soon to go and do that. And let it be like a whole week. Don't go there for like a weekend because you got to be back to work on Monday. Like, try to do those things. And I say all that to say is that, like, we pan out and we make it so huge. Oh my gosh, my life is on its own wheels. I don't know what to do. I don't even know who's steering this thing. Like, what do I do? But if you do go back to like that basic feeling of what do I actually enjoy, I feel like a lot of people even find that the thing that gives them joy is the same exact thing that gave them joy when they were a child.
Yep. It doesn't change much.
No. By the time you're 10, your
change.
personality is pretty set, you know? I mean,
Yep.
things change, but who you are at your core, like your personality type, tends to be pretty set. I liked writing when I was a kid. I've always liked writing. I got away from it a bit, and now guess what? Like, that's what I'm back to.
What I'm doing.
No.
And it makes me happy.
Yeah. And it makes me happy.
Girl. I agree. And I think that, our generation and the ones before, we weren't taught to chase after our dreams as much, not in general, like that's cute and all, but you have to get serious about life and be serious about what you're going to do and how you're going to make money. And because they were concerned of slipping back into the issues and the poverty that, our ancestors dealt with. And guess what? we're not far off of where we were before. So something is not right. And it's not to blame them. It's just to say, like, obviously we would walk in more purpose. We would feel like we were walking in our purpose if we were doing, and it's not about passion, if we were doing what we were created to do.
Oh yeah.
You know, if you're doing what you're created to do, sometimes you do have to work and go through times where you're confused and you have to learn new things. But when it comes to fruition, all of that will pan out, you know?
Oh yeah.
All of it will pan out.
Oh yeah. I'll even say for music, like I didn't sing for a long time outwardly because I was so nervous.
Yeah.
Because of something someone's, I
Said.
won't name their name.
Yes, girl, don't say their name.
I won't, because they're different now. But like, they said something to me like along the lines of, you're serious? Like you really? I was singing. I was singing a song, don't go. Girl, in my zone. And they were just like watching me for a while, and then just said like, "Oh, you're serious? Like you really think you can sing?" Shot me down. Like I was just like,
all the way down. I won't be doing that anymore.
Nope.
And what a lie that was from the enemy, girl, because come on.
I mean,
Songbird.
Thank you, friend. The thing is too though, that even if I couldn't sing, girl, if it gives you joy,
you do it.
Do it. And you know, it's funny though, watching how, because like you said just now, it's not always like, I wouldn't say that as a kid I was passionate about singing or anything. It wasn't passion. It was something that I enjoyed doing.
Right.
But it wasn't necessarily my passion. I would say I was passionate about track and field. But I see how like track and field wasn't to be for me for long. And when I see that, like, I entered the world, I entered the workforce, I did all the things I was supposed to do, like, you know, my 9 to 5 and paying my bills and blah, blah, blah. But when I started singing, I watched how so many doors just like began to blow open.
Yep.
And and I was watching it blow open for me, who wasn't really like as passionate at first as the next person. And I was watching them struggle really hard to get those same doors open. And I watched doors just open. People willing to help, people willing to whatever, like put money on it and put advice on it and take me places and do all of this. And it showed me that when something is in your purpose, like, wow.
Yeah.
It's beyond you. It's humbling. Like it's beyond, it's beyond me or any type of, you know, there are people who I considered extremely talented who are still not off the ground or not getting the play that they should, or not getting even the interest from people who have power or money or know-how. And it's not because they're not gifted at all, like at all, or that I'm more gifted than they are. But there's something about how the Most High has set up my life, to where these things are meant to be a part of it.
Yep.
And I think that's part of the key of this purpose, is that, like you said, it's not always based on just like your passion, because we're also taught to be passionate about. I know people
exactly
were forced into, or since they were little, told you got to be a doctor. And then
passion can be manipulated.
Thank you. Yes, that's exactly well said. Yeah, it can be manipulated for sure. And it can wane. It can just, you know, wow. Passion I never even really thought about it that way.
Yeah. Because I thought about it in terms of like, you know, when you look at sex, you know, it can be manipulated, right? And it's the same thing with everything else. Like you can be told like, this is what you do. This is what you need to do. You need to go after this with everything you are. Even, you know, with people, you know, with kids in school wanting to get A's, you know, they go after it with a passion.
Yep.
But it's not because they care anything about the subject.
Right.
It's because they want to get an A so that their parents get off their back so that they can, you know, get the car that their parents promised them if they got straight A's. You know what I'm saying? Like it can be, you know, and they go after it with a passion, but they're not going after that. There's something else.
Oh yeah.
You know, there's something else. And so I think that happens to a lot of people. You know, they seem passionate about their job, but they're actually passionate about success.
Yes.
And
that's this guy.
Yeah. And, you know, success can be a lot of different things. Success to him in reality was having a bait and tackle shop, which I pray he has now, that he's sitting on the side of, well, not anywhere in Mississippi right now, but, you know,
somewhere in nature
where there's not, but yeah, like, you know, and that's okay to be passionate about feeling successful. And that's going back to understanding, like, what does that life look like? What does it really look like at the end of the day? Who do I want next to me? Who do I want to be? How do I want people to, you know, to really, really see me? And how little do I care about those who don't really care to see me for who I truly am? And that right there will shave off a whole lot.
Oh man, sure will.
A whole lot of extra energy and weight.
I've been trying to express that to my boys. Like I said, listen, the earlier you get this, that people will fall left and right out of your life. And when they fall out of your life, let them go.
Let them go.
You know, the ones that are walking with you are walking tight with you. They're walking with you. And sometimes paths diverge for a little while and they come back around.
And come right back.
You know, but the ones that you'll know exactly. There are people who I haven't spoken to in years, but if we ever connected, it would be awesome. Like I'd be joyful for everything that they've accomplished in the time that we weren't like I would be rejoicing for them.
Girl, you know? The difference between when you have those conversations with people that you like, you connect and you have those conversations, you're like, this is awesome. You get off the phone, and then those people that you haven't talked to in a long time, and like after the first 5 minutes, you're like, well, so
I just wanted to touch base.
So yeah, you know, take care. And man. You don't even want to say like I'll talk to you soon or nothing. You're just like, all right, well, yeah.
Go with God.
Peace
have a great
with you.
It's the truth. It's the truth. And you know what? I will say too that Corona has caused many of those conversations to transpire. People calling me, they don't got no business calling me that I don't got no business.
On my phone line.
Oh, well, I was just calling to check on you and see how you're doing. So what you been up to lately? Oh, well, you know, I've been doing this. Oh, okay. Oh, so you're not working in the health field anymore? No? Oh, so you're making music. So how's that going? Like your music thing? You're like, okay, I cannot.
I heard you.
I already see you. Loud and clear. Loud and clear. Loud and clear. Because can you say, how is that lawyer thing going for you? Like,
how's the lawyer thing going?
You know, do you like it? Are you enjoying yourself? You seem stressed out. You look very different from how we look.
Stressed out.
Stressed out.
Didn't we graduate at the same time?
At the same time. Oh man, I know.
Oh my gosh.
I know others know exactly what we're talking about. You know exactly what we're talking about. It's like we're the same age. Like it's something else though. Like and then you have the friends that call and you guys talk and they're just like, you know, I'm just so happy that this happened. And I always thought that you could such and such and such. Or it feels good to be that friend to other people too. Like when they call you and you hear what they've been up to and you're like, wow, like I didn't even know that you were into like graffiti art. I had no idea. And like what you've shown me is awesome. Amazing, and you sound happy.
Yeah.
Because they also focus on your joy.
Yep.
You know?
Yep. That's the difference. You sound happy. You sound light. You sound good. Yeah.
Good. I'm happy for you, you know?
It's a big difference.
It is. It is. It is.
Wow.
important to keep them right people around you, because I tell my kids all the time, a lot of the decisions that they want me to make for them are based on like friends. I want to go to this school. Do you want to go to that school because the education is better, or do you want to go there because your friends are there? And usually it's because their friends are there. And I said, you gotta be careful with that, making choices for friends.
Honey, especially at that age, I just remember like how often the circle of friends that I had shifted. And I don't know, from back then, like it could have been me, you know, that was the issue. I don't know. I was beside myself when I was their age. I didn't know what to do. But again, I didn't have that guide, you know, that kind of guidance to say, okay, you know, who are you? Are you buying the parachute pants because you like them, or because everybody else likes them? You know,
right?
The parachute pants. So
this is what we talking about now. Parachute
pants. Yeah, because they're not gonna keep you warm. That's for sure. So
not at all.
They're paper thin. So, you know, like I think that's the gift that we can give ourselves now, right? And we can pass on to our children, because it's never too late. And I think it shifts too. Like, you know, you're not here for just one reason,
right? You
know, you're multifaceted. You know, there might be one or two things that stands out, but I think that, you know, we have it might be one gift that like is able to be dispersed amongst a lot of different things, but we all do have the capability of like really flourishing and thriving in more than one space. Maybe not at the same time. Like as mothers, we almost have to be able to thrive in more than one space, you know, during our lives. Like we have a couple more years to get these deposits, these boys and girls. And then we're there as guidance, you know, all along the way. But like after that, like we have to definitely have something to do with ourselves.
Oh, yes.
I am not going to be crocheting.
Look, I had this conversation with a friend of mine who's a new mom. And I was telling her, I was like, see, there's like, you know, like you said, all the ways that we kind of, as mothers, as parents, but as mothers, I'll say, because, you know, obviously, like a lot of things change for us, and down to our own bodies, like everything changes. So when
it's moving,
it's expanding, like going on.
I can show you about expansion and contraction. Here, see.
Exactly. It's flapping, it's things are going on. And when you attach so much of your identity, like I did it, like attach so much of your identity to a certain physical state, to a certain level of productivity in these ways and all this. And then you have a child, and then you see how like all of that changes. Your fitness changes, your body changes, your energy level changes, and what means you've been productive changes as well.
Listen, did you make it through the day? The child is fed and clothed. You did very well.
You know, did you shower? No, it's still okay.
There's still tomorrow.
There's still tomorrow. It changes. I had to tell her because she was feeling a way. And I know how I understand her feeling. She was feeling like, I have no purpose now outside of this child. No purpose now outside of this baby. So that's what she's feeling right now. Yeah. And she's nursing. So she's like, I get up in the night, I get up in the morning. When I wake up, the first thought is of this baby. I go to sleep stressing and worried about this baby. I wake up out of my sleep looking to make sure that she's still breathing. Like my whole function right now.
And you haven't slept, honey.
Baby.
You haven't slept. You haven't slept.
You know? Yeah, like, but just expressing that the same thing, I think when I speak to her again, I will say, I will direct her to this conversation, but also
something for you to listen to.
Yes, but also to remind her to like, what is a good life to you? Yeah. What does it mean? just remember that, you know, you've got a baby now, a whole little person, and it's tough right now, but what is a good life to you look like? You know, is it that you're free to go run around with your friends and you can still fit into that little leather skirt and what is that? Or is it that you're full and you've got laughter and love and you've got someone to nurture and you've got someone who's going to unconditionally love you, test you too, but they're going to love you forever because you're mom. And all the things.
Testing.
Can we take a moment?
The daily pop quizzes.
For the testing. Lord have his good.
There will be a daily
mercy.
test in this class.
Girl,
2 on Saturdays and Sundays.
When they hit 14, girl, it's a test at least every hour on the hour.
Oh,
if you're
man.
I'm
Please
telling
help me,
you,
Lord.
girl. Bless him. That's all
I'm
I
laughing at you, girl. But everybody says it though. It's not like, oh, well, that's your child. No. The people that I respect the most that have gone before me in raising children, they will tell you, like, don't try to give anybody advice on raising their children until you've gone through the teenage years. Like, just keep your mouth closed.